I love 1940s horror films, like we discussed before, but especially Cat People and Curse of the Cat People. So, Curse of the Cat People came out in 1944. So, again, we have the 40s giving us this blueprint of how to make a sequel, because that's 1 year after Son of Dracula, right? So, you can kind of see that this is where it's really taking off, this idea of like, oh, we can continue this story and do some really cool things with it. The roles we push people into, how that affects them and how that affects us and how that affects the world that we claim we want to see. So the first film is really about female sexuality and the confinement of that. What happens in a world that is confining female sexuality? What does that do to the woman? What does that do to people who are potential partners? What does that do to her actual partners? What does that do in her relationships with other women? So the first film is really about like grounding this idea of female sexuality.
Story of a modern girl cursed by an ancient legend. The legend of the cat people. Women whose kiss means death, whose love turns them into vicious, snarling beasts of prey.
Alice, you're very swell.
That's what makes me dangerous. I'm the new type of other woman. Good night, Minnie.
Good night.
Night, Minnie.
Good night.
Nicole?
A cat just walked over my grave.
Don't you want me to walk you home?
No, thanks. I'm a big girl now, and I'm not afraid.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
The second one takes it a step further, draws everyone to the carpet to understand that what you put an adult through will be echoed in the children around them. How do you build a world that your kid will be safe in, that you and your kid will be safe in, when you're still willing to hang on to these antiquated ideas, when you're still willing to sell yourself to this negative view of what it means to be a woman, to be sexual, to be in charge? What kind of power are you letting go of, and what kind of power are you implementing into something negative? And remember, this is 1944, so the taking those ideas and placing them in the time, that's pretty groundbreaking to be talking about female sexuality and motherhood and how that might affect motherhood in the future and in what this particular woman might be doing in the now. What it must have been like to even create a film like this in the 1940s. And you also just really understand the seamlessness of how you create a sequel with the same characters. They just did a really great job of keeping that character believable from the first film all the way through the second one. So it's very much appreciated. And I'm always going to say to watch them together. Great double feature.